Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening here at Duke University for our Parent and Family Orientation Pratt Family Welcome webinar. My name is Jonathan Moss, and I serve as one of the Associate Directors for New Student Family Programs here at Duke University. And we are so thrilled to have you here, to welcome you to Duke, to welcome you and your students, as well as with the Duke Engineering family. So I just want to start us off with a few different housekeeping items before we get started this evening. And so one, we will have a Q&A feature that has been enabled for you located at the bottom of your screen. We encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation today, but we will also have some time at the end to answer some of your questions either live or via the chat. Due to the Q&A feature, that does mean that our chat function is not available throughout this webinar. Additionally, this webinar is currently being recorded and will be accessible via our webpage within 72 business hours. So without further ado, I'm delighted to introduce you to Dr. Lisa Hudel, Associate Dean of Undergraduate Education and Professor of the Practice of ECE. Hey, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Jonathan, thank you so much. Give me a second to share. All right, wonderful. So thank you, Jonathan, and thank you to the new student and family programs and also the Pratt undergraduate education team for organizing and participating in this webinar. I want to start by welcoming the class of 2030 Pratt families and families of transfer students. We are so thrilled to have you join us tonight and to have you and your student joining our Duke engineering community. Our goal for today is to welcome you to Pratt and to share some key insights and tips regarding the Pratt student experience, particularly in the first year. We're going to share how the Pratt School of Engineering supports your student academically, socially, personally, and how you as families can stay connected and involved along the way. Throughout today's presentation, you'll also hear from one of our current engineering students who will share their own experiences as we move through each topic. And we hope that these conversations help bring the Duke engineering experience to life from the student's perspective. Sorry. There we go. So our team and school mission is to prepare students to lead productive, ethical, and impactful lives through a rigorous and purpose-driven engineering education. From their first day at Duke, your student is going to engage in challenging coursework, lots of hands-on learning, and opportunities to solve real-world problems. As they progress through Pratt, students will choose one of our 5 traditional undergraduate majors, including BME, civil engineering, environmental engineering, electrical and computer engineering, and mechanical engineering. Or they might choose a more customized interdisciplinary major through our IDEAS pathway. Students also have the flexibility to explore interests beyond their primary major, whether this is through elective courses or perhaps more formally by pursuing a minor, a certificate, or even a second major. Our students often combine engineering with interests in entrepreneurship, medicine, business, public policy, computer science, and lots of other fields, enabling them to create an educational experience that reflects their unique goals and interests. Beyond the classroom, your student will find countless ways to build community, develop leadership skills, and pursue their passions both inside and outside of engineering. Students can get involved in student organizations, pursue undergraduate research, engage in entrepreneurship, participate in service and leadership opportunities that complement their engineering curriculum. But rather than having me tell you about these experiences, I'd love for you to hear from someone who's experienced them firsthand. And so I'm delighted to welcome Natalie Olson, who's a current mechanical engineering student, and she's going to be sharing her perspectives on various topics with us today. So welcome, Natalie. Could you please just briefly introduce yourself? And we're going to talk a lot more throughout this.
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Natalie. I'm a current rising senior. I'm studying mechanical engineering with a certificate in robotics and automation. Outside of class, I'm on our varsity fencing team, And I'm also involved with Duke Engineers for International Development, which is a club we have here at Duke.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Natalie. It's so good to have you here, and I always love hearing what our students are doing. So, Natalie, we've talked about the flexibility of the curriculum and the opportunities to customize your educational experience. And you gave us a little
Mhm.
tiny insight into all the various things you're doing. Could you share what that's looked like for you? Tell us a little bit more about your major, those other academic interests, and whether you knew this was your path from the start or if it evolved.
I definitely did not know that this was my path from the start. I came in knowing I wanted to study engineering, wasn't really sure what type or what that would look like. So throughout my time, I've had a chance to experiment with a number of different types of engineering and everything. The first way was through EGR 101, which is for incoming first years. You're going to be taking that class in the fall. I got to work on a project that had a little bit of electrical, a little bit of mechanical, and so I got to really try out both of those. I liked both. I was kind of leaning towards mechanical. And so in my second semester, I decided to take the intro class for the mechanical engineering major. Really liked it, decided to keep up with it, but later on wanted to bring a little bit more of that electrical back in. So that's when I brought in the robotics and automation certificate. I also briefly thought I might want to do civil. We have a program here that's amazing called Duke Engage. And so I did traveled for a Duke Engage trip. We did construction on a pedestrian footbridge. So I got a little taste of civil engineering there, decided that wasn't going to be for me, although I had a blast on the trip and absolutely loved the experience. And so it's been a lot of trial and error through my time at Duke to eventually settle on my combo of mechanical engineering and robotics.
Excellent, wonderful. And it's great that you felt you had the flexibility and room to have that exploration, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. So I want to shift a little bit now and talk a bit about the first year curriculum. I'm sure you're all curious about where you're going to start and what you're going to do in this first semester and first year. So, in addition to math and science foundational courses, your student will take a pair of foundational engineering courses, both actually in their first semester. This includes first year design and also first year computing. Both of these courses emphasize hands-on learning, which I mentioned earlier, problem solving, and also the ethical responsibilities of being an engineer. We want to ensure that every Pratt student is introduced to both design and computational thinking early in their Duke experience. So first, with our first year design course, which is we call EGR 101, Natalie mentioned that a little earlier. This course introduces engineering design through team-based projects, and you can see those teams working in that photo there. Students work together and partner with actual clients from our community, solving real-world design challenges while simultaneously developing essential skills in teamwork, communication, and also learning the engineering design process. The other course is First Year Computing, or Engineering 105. Rather than focusing solely on a programming language like Python or C, this course emphasizes computational thinking. That is, teaching students how to break down complex problems and approach them systematically. Again, students are going to work with real data and real world challenges in this course, which helps provide context for this computing and computational thinking and reinforces the practical impact of their work, regardless of which field of engineering they see themselves going into. Beyond building these foundational engineering schools, we are also committed to developing leadership and character in our students. And so that third box there, you'll see our character forward. We want to ensure that our students graduate ready to lead and make meaningful contributions to society. One of the ways we're doing this is by embedding our character forward framework throughout the curriculum, and especially in the first year. This framework challenges students to think critically about ethics, character traits such as resilience, and their responsibility as engineers to society. So to give you a firsthand look at how this comes to life for a student, I want to bring Natalie back into the conversation. So Natalie, can you tell us a bit more detail about your EGR 101 project? What was your challenge? Who was your client? And looking back, how did that experience prepare you for your later coursework and maybe even for choosing mechanical engineering as your major?
Sure. So we worked with Garmin, which is a pretty popular sport watch brand. We worked specifically with their dive watch division, and were tasked with testing a number of different sounds for an underwater watch for their next line of dive watches. Basically, the company wanted to integrate audio safety signals into their next line of watches and wanted to find out what sound would be the most clear underwater. So they tasked us with creating a device that could help speed up the process of testing all the sounds. Without the device, they would have to send a diver deep underwater and have that diver keep resurfacing to give feedback. So instead, we designed a wrist mountable device where an engineer on the surface could play a tone down to a diver, and the diver from their wrist device could give immediate feedback without having to resurface. I thought it was super cool. Working with a brand that I had heard of, that I had been around before coming to Duke, I thought was super awesome and really made it anchored the problem and made it feel really real world, which it luckily was. It also was a really cool exploratory chance to just learn a bunch of stuff. We did CAD, we did some circuitry. I had to learn how to solder. We did like a ton of just hands-on work. And you're not expected to really come in with any base level of knowledge because you are taking this class in your first semester. And so it was a super fun chance to just really kind of play around and make mistakes. And you have a ton of TAs and professors who are there to help you and really support you in that class, because you're coming in from the beginning. And so then I was able to see what parts I liked. I learned leaned more onto the CAD side than the circuitry side. That's what helped me move towards mechanical engineering. But I just had a ton of fun with the class. I met a lot of friends in the class. It's a really big social thing for first year engineers. Great way to start meeting people. And yeah, I think it was a super valuable class to have.
Excellent, excellent. And I'm curious a little bit about the interaction that you had with the client. How frequently did you talk to your client and what kind of feedback did they give you?
We talked to them about once every other week. Anytime we ran into any sort of roadblock, we'd be able to reach out to them. And they would come actually into the class in person at times to come talk to us and meet with us, which was super helpful. They're a really good resource to lean on if we had questions about what the company was looking for and what the company wanted. And so it was also a really good way. We learned how to write technical reports and how to write
Mm,
emails to the client and do a lot of that more professional engineering work you also learn throughout the class. So that was another really valuable thing we got from it.
excellent. Sounds like a great experience. Amazing. All right. So thank you very much, Natalie. I want to shift gears a little bit now from curriculum to talking about how we're going to support your students. So one of the most important messages we want families to hear today is that Pratt students are not expected to navigate this journey on their own. There's a lot going on, and we've built a robust network of support resources to help students succeed throughout their time at Duke, whether they're incoming first-year students or joining the Pratt community as a transfer student. We know that this coursework can be a step up from high school, and it's designed to be. Achieving success in engineering requires students to adapt, strengthening time management skills, for example, or learning to tackle complex problems collaboratively. Encountering challenges during this transition is a normal part of the journey, and learning to seek help is a valuable skill that we encourage our students to develop. The support network that we provide starts with our Pratt Academic Advising Team. Our academic deans, which you can see here on the slide, oversee academic progress throughout the student's entire Duke experience. So in fact, your student may have already met with or will soon meet with their academic dean this summer ahead of registration, and this is the academic dean that they will form a relationship with and work with throughout their 4 years here. Our deans also provide specialized guidance for transfer students, helping to evaluate transfer credits, tailoring an individualized pathway toward graduation that recognizes the unique experiences they bring to campus and ensures a smooth transition into the Pratt curriculum. Beyond our academic deans, each student will also be assigned to a 360 coach. This is a faculty advisor who mentors the students and helps them navigate campus resources, adjust to college life, and begin their academic journey with confidence. 360 coaches also work collaboratively with E-Team peer mentors. These are more senior engineering students who offer peer support and insight to our first-year students. Add to that engineering-specific tutoring, collaborative learning opportunities, faculty office hours, and you'll see your student has an entire ecosystem supporting them. We strongly encourage students to dive into these resources early because learning to work with others is a fundamental part of becoming an engineer. So, Natalie, you went through this transition just a few years ago, so you know firsthand what it takes to successfully adapt. The first year curriculum is designed to challenge students while helping them build the foundation for future engineering coursework. Looking back at your first year, what was that transition from high school to Duke Engineering like for you, and how did you manage the workload? I'd love in particular to hear what surprised you the most, what specific strategies, advisors, or resources helped you find your footing and succeed, as you clearly have done.
Um, yeah, I won't lie. It was a big transition for me. The academics in college are a little bit more than they are in high school, but for me, the biggest thing that surprised me that I didn't know was in college, it's a lot more on you to like do the homework. A lot more learning is done outside of class than is done in high school. So I went from, you're in high school for 7 hours a day. In college, you're probably only in class for 3 or 4 hours a day. So it's a lot more time where you're responsible for making sure that you're doing the work. And that was just something I wasn't used to. So it probably took me a good semester to really figure that out and get into it. Um, I used a lot of resources. My 360 coach was somebody that was super helpful to me. My 360 coach was also my EGR 101 professor, and I think that's pretty common. That was something that was super helpful because it was a professor that I was seeing every day and therefore felt comfortable around. I felt like I could talk to them, ask them for advice, everything like that. I also used tutoring, and that was something that I'd never had to do in high school. I'm sure, like many of you on the call, was a straight A student in high school, and I never even envisioned myself like looking for a tutor. But I sort of had in college realized that a little extra help is like totally okay to ask for. A lot of students were utilizing the tutoring services we have. And for a lot of classes, for me, it was Chem 101. I'm not a chemistry person. And so first semester, I reached out for some chemistry tutoring, and that was super, super helpful, helped me grasp it. And so those resources are absolutely there. My 360 coach is the one who actually who recommended the tutors to me. Also, professors' office hours, so helpful. I heard that like a million times before I came to college and didn't actually realize how true it was until I got there. But professors love to help you out. Tutoring services are amazing. And so I think just reaching out and using those resources that are available to you, because there are so many, is something that's really important.
Yeah, you mentioned there are so many resources. What did you find the best way to identify and get connected to those resources, knowing that they're spread out and there's just so many different places to go?
Yeah, I think the first thing you do is go to a professor's office hours. So like for me, Chem 101 was the class that I was having a hard time with. So I went and I asked the professor. I think I sent him an email first. And the professors will always know what resources are out there for their classes, especially for a lot of those really big classes like Chem 101. And so he was able to put me in touch with the tutoring service. There was a ton of students in it. It was like a group study session situation.
Mhm.
Um, and so that was something that was just incredibly helpful. So yeah, go to the professors first is my word of advice.
Mhm. And did you form like study groups with your fellow students in classes? Did you find that helpful? Other ways of uh, working together collaboratively?
Yeah, absolutely. Still to this day, for like almost every one of my classes before finals, me and my friends who are in the class together will always make sure we're studying together, which is just super helpful. If you don't understand something, probably the person next to you maybe does. You can like exchange info, work through problems together. Also, then you can compare answers to like practice tests and things like that. So definitely, the people around you definitely also want to be working with other people. So reach out, be the person who starts the study group. Um, and yeah, I'm sure that everyone will be able to find some good study groups.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. All right. So lots and lots of support resources there and ways to connect there. So now I want to talk a little bit about outside the classroom and finding a community and sort of building that full Duke experience. So I'll say one of the best parts of the Pratt experience is its community. Your students' classes are going to give them a phenomenal foundation, but we really push them to take advantage of everything else happening outside the classroom as well. This is where they're going to turn their education into a truly unforgettable Duke experience. So many students get involved in hands-on design projects, competition teams, student organizations, community engagement, or undergraduate research. So many different possible things to do, and no, you don't do them all. These experiences let our students apply what they're learning in the classroom while exploring new interests and also building professional skills and social connections. Undergraduate research is a particularly distinctive part of the Duke experience, and it's common for our students to work alongside faculty and graduate students on cutting-edge projects. They can collaborate across disciplines through programs like Bass Connections. They can participate in global learning and service opportunities through Duke Engage, and they can bring their own ideas to life through our maker spaces. Our student-led groups are incredible and offer a wide range of opportunities. Some students, as I mentioned, joined hands-on competitive teams like our Duke Aero, Duke Motorsports, Duke Robotics, where students design, build, and compete with everything from rockets to race cars. We also have professional societies, like the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, the National Society of Black Engineers, the Society of Women Engineers. These focus primarily on career development and networking and are amazing resources for our students. And finally, we have groups with local or global engagement focus. For example, Duke Engineers for International Development recently traveled to Bolivia to build pedestrian bridges. And locally, groups like Duke Femmes Plus provide Durham students with hands-on STEM experiences, while Project Tadpole, another one of our clubs, modifies toys for children with disabilities. Whatever path your student chooses, they're going to find countless opportunities to grow as an engineer, as a leader, and also as a community member. So now, to provide you with a real student's perspective, I want to come back to Natalie and ask her to share her own experiences. So Natalie, I just walked through a very large number of ways that you can get involved outside the classroom. So how have you personally found your community in Pratt? Can you tell us a little bit about the groups or maybe research you've been a part of? And also, how do you balance the demands of your engineering academic workload with your extracurricular and social activities?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I did was Duke Engage. I did just as you mentioned, Deed is running the program where they're building a bridge in Bolivia. I did a very similar trip, but to Eswatini, which is this tiny little country between South
Mm.
Africa and Mozambique. Throughout the whole spring semester, there's 14 students who worked together to design the bridge. And then over the summer, we went and we traveled and we spent 2 months in country in Eswatini, living on a homestead and working construction on the bridge. And that was like an amazing way to find community within Pratt. I got to find 13 other engineers who were interested in kind of being a little bit more adventurous and going out and doing things like that. And you get super close together. We were living in really tight quarters the whole time, and like going through something totally new together. So that was an absolutely amazing experience. I cannot recommend Duke Engage enough to anyone who's interested. And also, it's a good plug for Deed. It's a really fun club, and everyone should join. So definitely that. I'm still super close to all the people who were in that. I also want to mention study abroad. Study abroad is
Mhm.
like very common at Duke. So I would say, I actually don't know the statistics, but it feels like close to half maybe of students
Mhm.
will choose to study abroad. I did not because of fencing. I chose to stay on campus. But it's really interesting because what happens is it's kind of like most students study abroad their junior fall. And so it kind of feels like halfway through your time at Duke, there's a whole new chance for you to make a bunch of new friends. The people who go abroad become super close with the people that they're abroad with. And the people who stay back on campus become super close with the people who
Mhm.
are on campus. So I feel like I became so close to a lot of my mechanical engineering classmates that did not study abroad. And then when everyone comes back from study abroad, it's like one big happy family all again. So I just think it's also super interesting um, to have a like there's this whole second like time when everyone is finding their people and like friend groups are forming that happens kind of halfway through college. And I thought that was something that I didn't know about and was really super interesting. Other than that, yeah, just join clubs, anything you're interested in. I think follow it and you'll find the people who are also interested in it.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were super busy and I forgot about the fencing part of things. Can you talk a little bit about how you've managed to balance all of that? How do you prioritize? How did you approach all these different activities and kind of figure out which ones you wanted to focus your time and effort on?
Yeah, that was definitely a part of my first semester was figuring out that balance. That was something that took a little bit of learning. But have a really color-coded, very strict Google Calendar throughout the whole year, that I try and stick to, and it like just keeps me organized from the start. I also really try and plan ahead. In high school, I was definitely somebody who procrastinated like a ton. And it's not to say I don't push off assignments now. I definitely still do sometimes, but I now look ahead. I know what the next 2 weeks of my semester looks like basically at all times. And so if I see, I have a really busy 2 weeks, then maybe I'm not pushing off my projects as much. And I'm trying to work ahead, especially with fencing. We spend about 20 hours a week practicing. And then when we're in season, there's also time traveling and competing. And so it's just really also communicating with professors if you have something come up, like if anything in your life happens. I got a concussion freshman year, which hopefully happens to none of you, but like my professors were super accommodating. They gave me extensions, but you just have to communicate it as far ahead of time as you can. And as long as you're super open about all of it, like the professors are really accommodating. They're there to help you. And yeah, just looking ahead and staying on top of it as much as possible.
Excellent, excellent. Sounds like you've really mastered those time management skills. All right. So now let's transition a little bit after talking about all those exciting things that students are going to do once they get here. Let's talk a little bit about how families can remain engaged and connected. So as students begin to settle into this first year academically, socially, personally, you might be wondering what your role looks like now and how you can best support them from home. So, one of the most valuable things families can do is to encourage independence while reminding students that asking for help is a sign of strength. The first year of college comes with lots of new responsibilities. We've heard a lot from Natalie, and growth often happens as a student learns to navigate those challenges with the support of the people around them. So when they arrive on campus, both our first year and transfer students participate in experiential orientation, otherwise known as O-Week. And through this, students are introduced to a wide range of campus resources. This includes things like the Academic Resource Center for learning support, the Wellness Center for counseling and mental health, and the Career Center for internships and career planning. Encouraging your student to become familiar with these resources early will give them the confidence to seek support whenever they need it and when they're ready. Many of these offices have also participated in the Summer Transition Series webinars, where families can hear directly from Duke experts on housing, advising, financial aid, wellness, move-in, and so much more. So if you haven't had a chance to attend and listen to these webinars, we definitely encourage you to explore these resources. And you can use the QR code you see there on the slide, or I think we'll drop a link in the chat as well. As the academic year begins, there are a few additional ways for you to stay connected. So first, we encourage families to subscribe to the Duke Parent and Family newsletter. This will provide you with monthly updates, campus life highlights, and other important dates. Now, to receive certain communications and access student information through Duke Hub, your student must grant guest access. So because of university privacy policies, students control these permissions. They can choose to grant access to university correspondence, to academic records, financial aid, bursar information, and they can set all of these preferences directly in Duke Hub. So that's how you get your access. And then finally, we invite you to stay connected with the Pratt community by subscribing to the Duke Engineering newsletter, the Pratt Blueprint, and department-specific newsletters in Instagram. Again, there's QR code you can scan there to take you to those places. These communications highlight student accomplishments, research, innovation, upcoming opportunities, and all the exciting things happening across Duke Engineering throughout the year. So now that we've seen how you can stay connected to those university resources, let's just take a moment to highlight some key opportunities to visit, starting with some upcoming breaks in the fall semester, which provides some key times to reconnect in person. So on the screen there, you'll see a couple of key dates for your calendar. First up is our fall break in October, early October, between the 9th and the 13th. This is a very short little break, but a welcome break in the middle of the semester. We also have Family Weekend shortly thereafter, October 16th through 18th, which is a wonderful time for you to perhaps visit your student here on campus. And then, of course, we have Thanksgiving break, which starts Tuesday evening after classes wrap up, and winter break, which starts on December 14th once finals wrap up. So these are all great touch points for reconnecting with your student or planning a visit to campus. We'd love to see you. Now, navigating the stretches of time between those breaks is a big part of the first year journey. So Natalie, I'm going to turn back to you. Thinking back to your first semester, how did you navigate the transition to college life? And what helped you feel at home most during your first semester? Maybe what's been the most helpful way your family has supported you?
Um, I think we did weekly phone calls on Sunday, like evenings. So I have an older sister, so it'd be me, my older sister, and my parents. Would call every Sunday evening, and that was just a really good point of consistency and like a great time to like catch my parents up on my life. I also just like knew throughout my first semester if I like called one of my parents because I was, I don't know, stressed about a homework assignment or something like that, that I would be able to talk it out with them and just like explain everything. Because I think it's kind of a weird feeling when you get to campus because nobody knows you like that well here. And so it's like
Mm.
nice to, talk to my sister, talk to my parents, um, on at least that weekly call. Other than that, I think it was really nice. My parents came for family weekend freshman year, and it was fun to get to show them around and show them the Duke Gardens and everything like that. That was really fun. And then it's also nice throughout the whole fall semester, you get a lot of chances to go home if you want or see your family, see your friends, um, because we have so many breaks in the fall. So like that was another really great thing is I could be like, okay, I get to see my family in like 3 weeks. So like that's coming up. That'll be fun. And then I think while I was at Duke, just like making friendships, I became really close with my freshman year roommate. And as soon as the semester goes on, those people start to feel like family. They get to know you a little bit more, and so I think then it becomes a lot easier as you start making those deeper connections with people here. I definitely think the first like couple weeks when every conversation you have is like, oh my gosh, where are you from? Like, what are you studying? Like, oh my gosh, me too. No way. Like, I think that's like the hardest 2 weeks of it. And then you start
Mm.
really finding your people and it gets, I think, a lot easier.
Nice, wonderful. Yeah. So it sounds like you've stayed real connected with your family and they've been a great source of support there. That's amazing.
Yeah,
And great that
absolutely.
they can visit as well. All right. So we've been talking a lot about the first year. And while the first year is focused on helping students make these adjustments, explore, make meaningful connections, the support that we provide is going to continue for the entire 4 years. So every student's journey through Pratt is unique, but our goal remains the same, and that is to support them, whether they start as a first year student or a transfer student, as they grow into confident engineers, leaders, and members of the Duke community. So this gives you just a little bit of taste of how we are going to do that and how these 4 years will unfold. In the second year, this is when our students declare their major. They will gain a in-major faculty advisor. They'll start to establish their academic and professional identity, and they're going to become more involved in specific programs and communities. In the third year, they're really digging in, and this is when they start to specialize and engage more deeply through advanced coursework. Maybe they're tapping into the undergraduate research, spending more time in the Career Center, finding internships, and also taking on leadership roles in those activities that they've chosen to pursue. In the fourth year, students are beginning to synthesize all their experiences, bringing together what they've learned both inside and outside the classroom as they prepare for the next step. And then ultimately, after graduation, our goal is for our students to have fulfilled the Pratt mission, to leave with a strong sense of purpose, direction, and the confidence to lead in whatever path they choose. So, So, we've covered a lot of material today, from the first year curriculum, resources to support student success, opportunities to become a part of the Duke community, ways in which families can remain connected and supportive of their Pratt student. I want to especially thank Natalie for providing her valuable student perspective throughout this session. That's always a highlight of these conversations is hearing from our students. They are so amazing. So thank you, Natalie. And I will now turn this back over to Jonathan and open this up our remaining time to your questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisa and Natalie. So again, this is your time. If you have any pressing questions, feel free to go ahead and use that Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. So taking a look at a few of the questions, I see that there's quite a few regarding different laptop requirements. Is there a specific recommendation that you all would suggest for a student that is a Pratt student? If they should get a MacBook versus a Windows?
I mean, I can answer from what I've seen in class. Either is going to carry you through your 4 years here totally fine. So get whatever is going to be easiest for you. If you do have a MacBook, it's pretty likely that you're going to have to download a little bit of extra software in order to like do any of the hard CAD and everything like that. But it's definitely possible. I definitely have classmates who have MacBooks. I personally have a Windows. I really like it. I have the XPS 13, if anyone wants to know that. And it's been great for my 4 years or 3 years so far. So yeah, anything will be fine, but I would say a MacBook is going to have a few extra steps in downloading some software.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Natalie. Could you talk a little bit more about your study abroad experiences for engineering and how that helped you fit into scheduling your classes?
Yeah, so I chose not to study abroad, so I was on campus, but a lot of my friends did study abroad. My like main friend group, all but two of us decided to study abroad, so it's definitely something that's possible. When you start meeting with your advisor, which I think many of you guys are going to be meeting with very soon, they're going to ask you a lot of questions. What do you think you might want to major in? Do you want to do any minor certificates? Everything like that. One of the questions they're going to ask you is like, do you think you want to study abroad? And if that's something you're interested in, just say yes, and they're going to help you plan it the entire way. All the advisors, especially your major advisors who you'll get in your second year, know which programs and which schools have the best study abroad programs for meeting the major requirements. And so they're going to be able to point you in the right direction and make sure that you're doing, usually students will do 2 engineering classes while abroad and 2 humanities classes. So they'll be able to help you every step of the way. You won't need to like take any extra semesters or anything like that in order to do it. I will say the most common study abroad spots for engineers, Madrid is really common. Dublin, Edinburgh, Sydney, Australia, that's another really popular one. But I know people who've gone like everywhere. You just have to sort of plan it a little bit ahead if that's something you know you're interested in. Because it's more than likely you're gonna have to take a specific, 2 classes while you're out there, something like that.
Yeah, and I'll just follow up a little bit. Natalie kind of referred to this a bit earlier, but about 40% of our engineers study abroad, which is super high for an engineering school. Pratt, we strongly support our students' interest in those global experiences and feel that's very valuable. So if that's something that you want to do, as Natalie said, it's part of the culture here. Those conversations start, they could start even, day one, with your academic dean, with your 360 coach, and continue on with your faculty advisor. So it is definitely a doable thing if that's something that you want to do. It does require some planning ahead, as Natalie mentioned, but yeah, it's definitely an achievable thing.
Yeah, I will also say I had a blast staying on campus. If study abroad is not for you and you feel like all your friends are doing it, you definitely like do not have to go study abroad. I had a great time my junior fall. I met a ton of new people, made a lot of new connections. I got to see the Florida Duke game in Cameron. I would have had major FOMO if I missed that. So it's definitely just whatever you think is right for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Natalie, for sharing your perspective and a little bit about of your friends' perspectives as well. And then I see one or two questions about 360 coaches. Could you all reiterate that information? When would that coach contact your student? Are they available to transfer students as well?
Hi. Hi, my name is Cameron Rose, one of the academic deans. I just wanted to answer that question real quick. First, 360 coaches will be assigned after the fall semester begins within a few weeks, and they will reach out to their students. Like Natalie said, they may be the instructors from EGR1, so they will definitely have a lot of interactions with their faculty advisor. And with regards to 360 coaches for transfer students don't have a 360 coach in that they are faculty advisors from their major. So 360 coaches are faculty advisors for undeclared students last year because they know, in addition to major requests, they also know of resources available at Duke, and they give them advice through the transition year. But transfer students can declare the major before arriving, and then they're assigned a faculty advisor specific from their major. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, Natalie, we have another question for you. Our attendees love hearing about your experience, which is awesome. So how did you fit your liberal arts requirements kind of into your course schedule? Was there typically a year that this occurred? Did your AP test or did you have an experience with those covering any of these requirements?
Sure. I think technically I had two AP credits come in and cover them, but I did five liberal arts classes anyways. I had so much fun doing my liberal arts classes. Some students will choose to do like a minor or something like really focused with theirs. I'm just kind of doing a free for all. So like I try and like one class a semester fit in like a random class that sounds totally fun to me. So like this past semester I took a class called Gender, Media, and Sports. We talked about the WNBA and just women's sports in general and everything like that. I did a history of animation class. I have friends who did Shakespeare classes, and like it's just a kind of opportunity to explore any random side interest you have. Even I think I'm doing tennis this semester. I'm doing a PE class, so that's something I'm really looking forward to. So I think it's a really great chance to use the other half of your brain. You know, it's really, I think, healthy to have a class that isn't engineering all the time. And I really recommend just like having a blast with them. Go take whatever class sounds super interesting to you. If doing a minor sounds really interesting to you, do that. But I just like every single semester have like such a fun time looking through the course catalog and being like, ooh, do I want to do like business of basketball? Maybe, like who knows? And so I've actually had a blast fitting those in, and I think I'm going to graduate with more than the necessary ones.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And following up to one of your answers, I know I've seen a few about different course requirements and finding different courses through catalogs. Where are students able to find those course catalogs to take a look at those courses being offered?
Okay, so in Duke Hub, which I hope you guys have access, I'm not sure when you guys get access to that. So in Duke Hub, on the side, you go to like, I think there's an academics tab, and then there's like advanced course search or simple course search. And so I'll do advanced, and then you can go and you can pick what categories seem interesting to you. So I'll look through like visual arts and visual media studies, and maybe I'll look through like an English class, the English classes, sociology, like any of the subjects that I think there might be a class that I'm interested in, I'll go and just like literally scroll through the entire list. You can also do like a keyword search. So I've definitely looked up like sports in the past because I'm really interested in sports. And there's like a lot of options that you can do. Um, and so there's a number of ways to do it. You can do it based off of what fits in your schedule. You can do it based off of like everything like that. And so yeah, in Duke Hub, they'll have the entire course catalog for you to spend as much time as you like. I think I spend more time than the average person looking through that list.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So yes, we encourage your students to go ahead and look through those course catalogs and get excited. Could you all talk a little bit about pursuing different certifications over a minor?
So Natalie, you want to talk? I know you are doing the robotics certificate. Is that right? You want to
Yeah,
talk a little bit about your choices, and then I could talk more general.
yeah, sure. So a certificate at Duke, it's worth mentioning, is kind of halfway in between a major and a minor. So usually mine is going to be around five classes. A certificate is going to be more in the realm of like seven or eight, depending on the certificate. Um, So I was considering doing a minor for a while. But for me, it ended up being that like when I was finding what I was interested in, I kind of stumbled upon robotics because I really liked. We had a core class called mechatronics that every mechanical engineer takes. I loved it. So we have this program called Flunch, faculty lunch, and so every student gets $70 a semester to take the professors to lunch. And I really loved the class, so I emailed my professor, said, "Hey, can I take you to a flunch?" I got lunch with her and I said, like, "Hey, if I want to keep doing this, what should I be doing?" And she recommended the robotics certificate for me. And so I took the intro class to it, absolutely loved it, and decided to go full on ahead and do the entire certificate. So that's how I ended up in it. So yeah.
And just to follow on that, so our majors generally offer a minor, which as Natalie said is typically about 5 classes. So if you have your primary major and you have a complementary interest, that those minors allow you to go a little bit gain a little bit of depth or possibly breadth related to that primary interest. Certificates tend to be a bit more interdisciplinary. So we have certificates like innovation and entrepreneurship. Robotics certificate combines both mechanical and electrical and computer science. So generally, those certificates tend to be a bit broader. Architectures and other certificates. So that's one of the things that differentiates not just the number of courses, but also kind of the breadth or depth that you'll get exposed to in a minor versus a certificate.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. So I see a few questions about possibly a student in Pratt wanting to do a minor or certificate in the Trinity College. How would that process work?
Yeah, so it's absolutely possible. And so Pratt students are allowed to pursue second majors, minors, or certificates that are available to Trinity students as well. Once you well, you can formally declare that so that it will show up on your transcript, but you can also begin to explore those different pathways without any formal declaration. But there's no restriction, no constraint, no quotas that would prevent a Pratt student from doing that. It's just a matter of fitting it into your coursework. And that's where your faculty advisor, your peers can be very super helpful in talking about, what your interests are and then how to manage that and fit that into the curriculum.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Taking a look at the questions, I think we answered a majority of them. If you have one more question that you'd like to get answered, if you would go ahead and use that Q&A function. In the meantime, if you do need some more information, you are always welcome to email our office at familyprograms@duke.edu, or you can also contact Pratt Dean's office at duke.edu, and we can make sure we get your questions answered. But thank you all so much. Thank you to the Pratt faculty, staff, and student Natalie for sharing your perspectives and expertise today as well. And we hope to see you at our next webinar series as part of our parent and family orientation. Thank you all so much.